Okay, here's a question to kick things off. What if monumental success, the kind that really changes lives, isn't actually about some kind of random luck or like innate genius?
Right.
What if it's really about a fundamentally different way of thinking and acting? That's kind of the big idea we're diving into today.
Exactly. We're exploring these, well, surprisingly simple principles that high achievers often share, especially those people who really built their own empires, often starting from, pretty much nothing.
And it's not about secrets kept behind closed doors or anything like that. This deep dive is built from some really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
A whole collection of talks, interviews, really raw, unfiltered insights from self-made millionaires, even billionaires.
Yeah, and a lot of our material today comes from the Generational Wealth Family YouTube channel. It features some incredible speakers. We're talking Holton Buggs, the legendary Jim Rohn, Robert Kiyosaki, of course, Art Williams, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Gary Korn, Dr. Makungu Akin, Sandy Botkin, too. A real powerhouse lineup.
So our mission really is to sift through all this great material and pull out the absolute core nuggets, the wisdom, we're looking at the mindset shifts, the specific actions they took, the strategic choices they made.
And how those things underpin that extraordinary success, both financially and personally, especially for you listening right now. If you're looking to carve out your own path, build something significant for yourself.
And these aren't just theories, right? These are practical, often really hard-won lessons from people who genuinely started with very little and built immense wealth, immense freedom. So this whole deep dive is designed to equip you with a powerful framework, something actionable you can use to achieve your own big goals, whatever they might be. So let's unpack this. Where do we start? I guess it has to be the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Mastering your mindset.
It absolutely has to start there. It all begins in the mind. Jim Rohn, the business philosopher, he has this incredibly powerful metaphor. He calls it the mental factory.
The mental factory.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He suggests your mind isn't just, a place where thoughts float around. It's literally a factory. And what you consciously choose to feed it. The books you read, the audio you listen to, conversations, even just the thoughts you dwell on, those become the ingredients.
Ingredients.
Exactly. And Ron puts it so vividly. These ingredients are precisely what build the economic, social, and financial fabric of your entire life. It's profound because it means thoughts aren't just fleeting things. They are the actual raw material for your future reality.
Wow. So, okay, if your mind is this factory, then the big takeaway is your input directly dictates your output. There's no escaping it.
None.
It's like trying to make a cake with cement.
Yeah.
If you're feeding the factory trash, as Ron calls it.
Right. Which he defines as, relentless negative news, constant complaints from people around you, that negative self-talk. If you dump that in daily,
you just cannot expect to produce a rich, dynamic, positive life. It seems so obvious when you put it like that, but we overlook it all the time.
We really do. And Ron takes the analogy even further to hammer home the point about guarding those inputs. He uses this example of sugar versus strychnine in your coffee.
Okay.
If someone drops sugar in, you're fine, no big deal. But if they drop strychnine, you're dead.
Right. Doesn't matter who dropped it.
Precisely. That's the critical lesson. It doesn't matter who gives you the bad stuff. Could be an enemy, or maybe even more dangerously, a well-meaning best friend who accidentally passes on limiting beliefs, negativity.
Yeah, happens all the time.
The bad stuff, Rohn says, will still do its damage, even, he notes, to your bank account. So his critical directive is, you must stand guard at the door of your mind.
You're the bouncer. You're quality control.
You decide what gets in, period.
That idea, standing guard, it's powerful, but man, it sounds challenging in a world that's just constantly throwing information at us. What if you feel like you're surrounded by the trash? Your job, maybe family, social media, is it really just about standing guard, or is there more to controlling your environment that these guys talk about?
That's a great question, and it leads perfectly into Robert Kiyosaki's work, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. His whole thing is examining those deeply ingrained, often limiting beliefs, what he calls the poor dad mentality.
Ah, yes. The classic rich dad, poor dad.
His philosophy is built on this stark contrast, right? Two fundamentally different sets of values, different financial advice. He points out that the poor and middle class are often taught by parents, schools, society, basically how to work for money, how to be good employees.
Get a good job.
Right. Meanwhile, the rich, his rich dad, teach their kids how to have money work for them. And that's not just a small difference. It's a complete paradigm shift. It challenges almost everything we're programmed to believe about financial security.
And it is everywhere, isn't it? That programming, we've all heard it. Go to school, get good grades, get a high-paying job.
Work hard, live below your means, save money, get out of debt, have a good retirement plan. It's the standard script.
Yeah, the blueprint. But Kiyosaki's rich dad says very few people get rich following that plan. And why? He says the dollar is, and this is blunt, designed economically to lose money every single year.
Right, inflation.
So the whole idea of saving something that's inherently depreciating, he questions that fundamentally. It's a tough pill to swallow when saving feels so responsible.
It really is. And he uses powerful personal stories to illustrate it. His poor dad, head of education, made good money but was always broke at the end of the month, paycheck to paycheck. His rich dad, high school dropout, became one of Hawaii's wealthiest men. Poor dad said, your house is an asset. Rich dad said, no, it's a liability if it's your biggest investment because it takes money out of your pocket each month.
Mortgages, taxes, upkeep.
Yeah. Poor dad believed in job security, climbing the corporate ladder. Rich dad just asked, why not just own the ladder?
Own the system, not just work within it.
Exactly. It's about owning the system that generates the income.
Now, for a lot of people listening, that idea house is a liability. Questioning job security, that probably feels really unsettling, maybe even wrong, based on what they've always been taught.
Yeah.
Did Kiyosaki or the others talk about why these traditional beliefs are so sticky and how you even begin to unlearn them? Because it sounds like a huge undertaking to rewire your brain.
It is, and it connects directly to what Holton Buggs talks about. He's a giant in network marketing, and he shares this profound realization. For years, his biggest limitation wasn't outside stuff, it was his own small thinking. His mantra became, I would believe much bigger, much sooner.
Believe bigger sooner. I like that.
His story really drives it home. For his first 7 years in network marketing, working hard, staying in the game, he never made more than $500 a month. 7 years.
Wow. That's persistence, but yeah.
And then he had this breakthrough. He realized the issue was me. He saw he was a product of things that I had seen, product of things that I had heard, product of things that I had actually witnessed.
So past experiences, programming.
Exactly. He felt messed up, his words, by bad advice. Even from people who meant well, like his own mother. He calls her his mentor for failure.
Ouch. But honest.
It highlights how even loving guidance can unconsciously prepare you for failure if it's based on limiting beliefs.
So what kind of advice did his mother give? Was it that same go to school, get a job stuff?
Pretty much. He tells this story about deciding to switch companies. He called everyone, including his mom, and she gave him the standard lines. Go to school, get a good education so you can get a good job, plus all those common phrases.
Let me guess. Watch out for those get-rich-quick schemes.
Bingo. And money can't buy happiness, money doesn't grow on trees, all those things we hear. He realized those subconscious beliefs were holding him back, making him second-guess opportunities that sounded too good to be true.
Because he was programmed to be skeptical of easy money or big success.
Right, and he puts it to his audience, you know. How many of you in here are messed up right now? The implication being, many of us are operating under this stuff without even realizing it.
So how do you break free? If you realize you're messed up, what's the mechanism for change?
Buggs lays out this critical sequence. It's like a domino effect for changing your mindset. It starts with your environment, he says. Whatever it is that you associate with will determine what you think.
Okay, association leads to thought.
Whatever it is that you think will determine what you start to say.
Thought leads to speech.
And the things you say will determine what it is that you believe.
Speech leads to belief. Association, thought, speech, belief. Interesting.
It shows that positive thinking isn't just like flipping a switch. It's a process. You have to align your environment and consciously use your words to reinforce a new belief system. You need that conscious interrupt to break the old patterns.
Okay, so how did he do it? Did he give specifics? Because that sounds good in theory, but...
Oh, he gives specifics, and it's intense. He didn't just hope his thoughts would change. He actively replaced negative influences, started speaking like a winner. He actually recorded himself saying affirmations.
Like what?
Things like, sharp business people are always calling me to personally sponsor them into my network marketing business. Specific, outcome-oriented stuff.
Okay.
And here's the wild part. He listened to these recordings 3,000 to 4,000 times a day.
3,000 to 4,000 a day.
A day For 2 years straight. He even used a pillow speaker from Radio Shack, played them under his pillow while he slept.
Wow. Why so extreme?
His reasoning. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the truth and the lie. He was basically programming his subconscious.
Lying to yourself until it becomes true.
That's exactly it. And it poses a real challenge to you, the listener. Are you willing to do that? To lie to yourself about your future potential until it manifests? Because as Bugs points out, most of you won't do that. Most of you will get tired. Most of you will stop believing the lie. It takes incredible commitment.
That level of commitment. Wow. Especially when you face maybe the biggest mindset killer of all, complaining.
Ah, yes. Jim Rohn again. His take is typically blunt. Complaining, crying, whining, griping. He calls it a deadly disease. Something that will ace your future.
Ace your future, like cancel it.
Yeah. He's not talking about just being in a bad mood. He means it actively sabotages your potential. He even calls it economic cancer of the bone, leading straight to a financial desert.
Economic cancer. That's harsh.
It is. He says pessimists aren't just noticing what's wrong, they actively look for faults, and they're almost delighted when they find them. It's a self-feeding cycle of negativity.
And he has that story, right? About the Israelites.
The children of Israel, yeah. Powerful illustration, freed from slavery, heading to the promised land, abundance, opportunity, but they never got there.
Why not?
Because, as Ron tells it, from day one they started to complain about everything. The water, the weather, the food, the leadership. Too far, too cold, too hot, too difficult, too miserable.
They focused only on the negative, on the struggle.
Exactly, and the consequence. They died in the desert. Ron's takeaway is chilling. Indulge in this long enough, you get your future canceled.
Wow. That's a serious warning. It's not just about being unpleasant. It actively destroys your chances.
Yeah.
It urges you listening to really recognize that tendency, because we all do it sometimes,
Oh, absolutely.
and understand its profound impact. You have to actively win the war against negativity, as Ron puts it, a daily battle.
So, okay, you've started guarding the mental factory, you're reprogramming beliefs. Now what? You have to translate that into action, right?
Absolutely. Mindset without action is just dreaming. And this is where Art Williams comes in, his famous just do it speech. It's blunt, but incredibly powerful for anyone stuck in inertia.
He says almost everybody in America almost does enough to win. They almost get there. They almost over the hump. They almost have it going.
Almost. The key word.
But the difference, the thing that separates the winners do it. Simple as that. It hits on that common trap, getting close, but falling short because he didn't fully commit to the doing.
And he wasn't big on credentials, was he? IQ, degrees.
Not at all. He dismisses them as the key to winning. Says it's what's inside a person. Your integrity, your people abilities, your character. That's what counts.
He kind of scoffed at smart people, didn't he?
Yeah, he said they spend their whole lifetime figuring things out, always trying to figure out an easier way and a quicker way, but they just don't get around to doing nothing. Classic analysis paralysis.
Yeah, right.
And he just relentlessly hammers the audience. I'm not making any money. What can I do?
Just do it.
I don't feel like I've had enough training.
Just do it.
My manager don't give me no help.
Just do it. It's this direct challenge.
Yeah.
Stop analyzing. Stop making excuses. Just start doing. Success is in the execution.
And building on that, Les Brown and Eric Thomas have this powerful message about timing. They say there will never be a point in your time in your life where it's the right time to do a great thing. If you're waiting for that perfect moment, that perfect timing, it's not going to happen. You have to create the perfect time and the perfect opportunity and the perfect situation.
So stop waiting for the stars to align, basically. You align them.
Exactly. It counters that tendency to delay, waiting for ideal conditions. They argue that comfort, satisfaction, those are actually traps. They lead to stagnation. They stop you from growing, from discovering what you're capable of.
Because growth happens outside the comfort zone.
Right. And they talk about the messenger of misery, those times of pain or dissatisfaction. You need reasons, strong reasons to push through those moments. They lament that most people take their greatness, take their ideas to the graveyard with them.
What a waste.
Because success isn't easy. If it was, everybody would do it. The challenge is to push past comfort, embrace the struggle. Their core message is powerful. You will never, ever be successful until you turn your pain into greatness.
Turn pain into greatness.
Until you allow your pain to push you from where you are to push you to where you need to be. It's an invitation for you listening to take control. Stop waiting. Use whatever frustration or pain you have as fuel. What is that pain for you?
That ties into the idea of risk, too, doesn't it? People wait because they're afraid of failing, afraid of the risk.
And Jim Rohn tackles that head on, again, very bluntly. He says, it's all risky. The minute you were born, it got risky. You're not going to get out alive. That's risky.
Okay, fair point. Puts things in perspective.
It really does. It challenges that fear of trying by just reframing existence itself as inherently uncertain. The idea that you can find safety and security by huddling in a corner, he dismisses that, says it's a way to live that's barely living.
So inaction is the bigger risk in his view.
Much bigger. He says, if you think trying is risky, wait till they hand you the bill for not trying. If you think investing is risky, wait till you get the tab for not investing. It's not just about money, it's about life experience. He says, better to live 30 years full of adventure than 100 years safe in the corner.
It's a call to embrace adventure, right? Shift from avoiding negative outcomes to chasing positive potential. Choose the potential regret of action over the guaranteed regret of inaction.
Beautifully put. And to navigate the inevitable bumps during that action, the setbacks, the rejections, Ron uses another great analogy, the story of the sower from the Bible.
The sower and the seed.
Exactly. It illustrates the law of sowing and reaping, but also the crucial law of averages in business and life. The ambitious sower goes out with excellent seed, starts throwing it.
Then all of it grows.
Right. Some falls by the wayside, the birds get it. Some falls on rocky ground, no deep roots, withers in the sun. Some falls among thorns, choked out by little cares and distractions.
Okay.
But crucially, eventually, the seed falls on good ground and produces a huge harvest.
So the lesson isn't about preventing the losses.
No. It's a framework for dealing with them. The birds are going to get some of the seed. Those are the people you invite who don't show up. The leads that go nowhere. It happens.
Okay.
The hot weather is going to get some. Those are the people who start strong but quit when it gets tough. Also happens. The thorns are going to get some. Those are the people who let daily life, the little pears, the little distractions, choke out the big opportunities. Happens all the time.
So what's the sower's strategy?
Ron's key insight. Don't chase the birds. Don't get bogged down trying to fix things you can't control. Just keep on sowing. When disappointments happen, just say, isn't that interesting? And keep going.
Discipline your disappointment.
That's the phrase. Discipline your disappointment. Ron said the secret to his success was simply that he kept on sowing. He believed if you keep sowing, you can sow more than the birds can get because there aren't enough birds. You just have to outsow the problems.
That's a powerful tool for resilience. It normalizes rejection, gives you a strategy. Just keep taking the right actions, knowing some will eventually land on good ground. Weigh the averages. Persist.
And persist with urgency. That's another key theme. Patty Hinnell McPherson shares her personal philosophy. Tomorrow is never promised. For her, it's not a cliche. It fuels this intense drive to act now.
And Inky Johnson echoes that, right? You got to have some urgency, this mentality that it's already too late.
Yes. Across the board, these speakers talk about living with passion, conviction, not holding back. Urgency means every day. Those 86,400 seconds, they matter. It's about refusing to procrastinate on your life, choosing to impose your will on your dreams.
Patty's story behind that is powerful, isn't it? Losing her mother young.
Yeah, lost her mom at age 7, adopted the philosophy, whatever I'm going to do it now. Because, as she says, tomorrow I may not even be here. Her life became about that immediate action.
And Inky Johnson, his dedication to football?
Incredible story. Doing extra drills every night as a kid, driven by wanting his mother to never have to work another day in her life. That purpose made him unstoppable. And even his career-ending injury.
Which would crush most people.
He saw it not as an end, but as a perfect opportunity to use this to be a blessing to somebody else. It's this deep sense of purpose combined with urgency. It really challenges you listening to confront your own mortality, the finite time we have. Infuse today with purpose and action. Don't leave dreams on the table.
Okay, so mindset, action, perseverance, urgency. But action without a plan can just be chaos, right?
Right.
Running around frantically but not getting anywhere.
Absolutely. Which brings us to strategic planning. The plan your success source is adamant. People without a plan will become poor. They call it a scriptural prophetic fact.
Wow, strong words.
They argue success or failure literally depends on the plan you have or don't have. A plan is finishing before you start. It's not just a good idea, it's essential. Like how you can't build a house without an approved blueprint.
Right, the government wouldn't allow it.
Same idea for your life or business. It requires real thinking, imagining, which as the source puts it colorfully, can be hard for brains crusted over from disuse. We don't always practice deep thinking.
And they say planning is harder than working.
Planning is more work than working. That deep visualization, strategizing, mapping it out mentally, that takes more effort than just executing. Think of David before Goliath.
The sling.
He didn't just wing it. He practiced with that sling, became an expert slinger, knew he'd win because a man with a sword cannot stop a rock. He had a plan, practiced it.
And Holton Buggs did something similar. Mentally rehearsing.
Extreme planning. He talks about having 2 years of mental experience before I put my name on the application for his new venture. He compressed that mental process into just 11 days of intense focus because he'd already lived it in his mind, knew he had to think much bigger, much faster.
And set specific goals.
Audacious ones, like $70,000 his first week, $250,000 a month within 18 months. He believed business should be predictable if planned correctly. This urges you to really dedicate time to planning. A clear plan gives confidence, predictability. Like a good CEO knows their margins in advance. Truly finish before you start. What would that look like for your goal?
Okay, so we've covered the internal game mindset, action planning. What about the external influences, the people around us?
Crucial. Cultivating your ecosystem is vital. Holton Buggs talks about discovering the art of disassociation or limited association.
Disassociation. Sounds harsh.
It means intentionally limiting time with people who don't support or maybe even actively undermine your ambitions, even family. It's radical for many, challenges loyalties.
Why did he feel it was necessary?
He found staying connected to old ways of thinking, to average thinkers, kept him trapped, stuck in an environment where losing was accepted as winning. He realized it wasn't them, wasn't the company, it was me thinking how I think. The environment shaped his thinking.
And his family, the mentor for failure.
Right. He realized they unintentionally messed me up, prepared him for failure with limiting beliefs. He actually told his mom, "I'm sorry, Mom, but I got to put a 5-minute limit time on our conversation because I knew where it was going to go."
That takes guts.
He declared he was not going to allow anybody to come between me and my dreams. He backed off from negative friends, too, the ones who'd say things like, "Oh, you think you're somebody now," to pull him back down.
It's a direct challenge to you listening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Evaluate your inner circle. Who's fueling you? Who's hindering you? It's tough, but necessary to protect your mental space. How do you set those boundaries effectively?
And part of protecting your space is actively filling it with good influences, which means choosing mentors wisely. This comes up again and again.
We heard Buggs learn the hard way with his mom as a mentor.
Exactly. Shows the danger of well-meaning but ill-informed advice. True mentors provide those conscious interrupts we talked about. They challenge your thinking, offer new strategies.
Who did Buggs credit as good mentors?
He mentions Lisa Grossman, the only person in network marketing I trust with my bank account. Says she changed his thinking. Also, T. Harv Eker's book, Speed Wealth, which broke his slow growth mindset.
Others mention mentors, too.
Oh, yeah. Jared Wilkins says you learn either through mistakes or through mentors, noting his own makes 7 figures a month. Luke Curry credits his upline mentors. And the Plan Your Success source warns, don't get counsel from the wicked and the deceitful, people who might destroy your dreams with their talk out of their own fear or envy.
So the takeaway is, actively seek out people who've achieved what you want, but be very discerning about whose advice you actually take to heart. Not all advice is created equal.
Precisely. But this limited association doesn't mean you become a hermit.
Right.
Buggs offered some nuance there.
The wolf pack, right.
Yeah, he still maintains his wolf pack of high school buddies. While he limits association for business growth, he keeps those connections. It shows you don't have to abandon all old relationships. It's about understanding their place and setting boundaries.
So with the wolf pack, he limits to what, a couple of times a year?
Maybe 2 times a year, because with them, he says, "I'm not Mr. Buggs, I'm just me." It's about maintaining authentic connection, separate from the intense focus needed for business.
That's a helpful template for you listening. You can maintain cherished relationships while still protecting your entrepreneurial focus. It's about strategic balance with your time and energy.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit now to the bigger picture, the economic systems. Many sources were highly critical of traditional employment.
Yeah, Gary Korn in that American Dream video. Pretty stark language. Corporate slavery. Just over broke. J-O-B.
Korn argues schools essentially train employees to be exploited by corporations. Says corporations buy employees wholesale and they sell them retail on the open market. He even connects it historically to financial enslavement through debt, the MasterCard, swipe it and enslave your future.
And the American dream paints that picture of living just for the weekend. The other 5 days belong to the boss. The rat race, even if you win, you're still a rat.
Korn shared his own experience, right? Healthcare, $5.90 an hour for critical work. Realized the owner dictates your pay. His advice: don't hate the player or the game. Go become that person.
Become the owner, the one setting the terms. It really pushes you to re-examine your relationship with your job. Is it just survival, or is it truly aligned with living the life you want? What would it take to become that person?
Which leads us right back to Kiyosaki's rich dad, poor dad paradigm, that fundamental difference. The rich have money work for them, the poor work for money.
And the key is changing your values.
Kiyosaki says yes. He criticizes the entitlement mentality he thinks keeps people financially weak and needy, dependent. Instead of job security, which he sees as an illusion anyway, he advocates owning the latter. Own the business, own the assets.
And passive income is central to that.
Absolutely. Work hard for a focused time, maybe a few years, so that income keeps flowing to you for life, whether you're actively working or not.
And there was that firefighter example, Paul Rogers.
Great example. Making 48P as a firefighter. Adopted Kiyosaki's plan home business, got control of taxes, bought assets income, jumped over $100 Ks in a year.
Wow.
His key principle. The poor pay their bills first, the rich pay themselves first. He even used bill collectors as motivation to prioritize his own financial growth.
Pay yourself first. That's a core rich dad principle.
And Kiyosaki points out, money problems aren't just not enough money. Sometimes it's too much money, meaning you don't know how to manage it once you have it. It offers you a whole different financial framework. Shift from consumer to investor owner. Pay yourself first, acquire assets. That's the path.
And one huge, often missed advantage of the owner path, especially a home business, is taxes. Sandy Botkin broke that down.
He did. Former IRS legal specialist, so he knows the system. Says the U.S. basically has two tax systems. One for employees, designed, he argues, to make them poor, taxed from $1, few deductions.
And the other.
Designed to create economic growth by incentivizing the self-employed. Small businesses drive most job growth, so Congress gives them huge tax breaks. Business owners take deductions before paying taxes. Even a part-time business qualifies if there's an honest expectation of profit.
And his example of the couple, the wife taking a job, that was eye-opening.
Sobering, wasn't it?
Yep.
$20,000 job sounds okay, but after all, taxes, commuting, lunches, clothes, childcare, they were left with only $995 for the year from her efforts.
Just staggering compared to a home business.
Where Botkin says you can write off part of your house, your spouse, the equivalent of your kids' education and weddings, set up much better pension plans.
Kerry Korn talked about that too, employing family.
Yeah, how entrepreneurs get tax breaks to hire people.
Right.
And how you can legitimately employ your kids, your spouse, and write off related expenses, company car used for business dinners with your spouse if there's a business purpose. It transforms personal expenses into deductions.
It provides you a massive concrete financial reason to consider entrepreneurship. It's not just about gross income. It's about drastically changing your net income by playing a different tax game.
And within that entrepreneurial world, Kiyosaki specifically highlights direct selling, network marketing, as a potentially perfect business for building wealth, especially for people transitioning out of employment.
Why perfect?
Low startup costs, often under $500, makes it accessible. Crucially, good companies offer patient skill development and personal support, things often missing elsewhere. It helps people change their core values, which Kiyosaki thinks is essential. It helps them move from ES quadrant, employee self-employed, trading time for money, to the B quadrant, business owner, systems make money. That's where freedom lies.
And Dr. Aiken pointed out the sheer size of the travel industry.
Massive. $8 trillion now, heading towards $15 trillion, with 95 million millennials spending $200 billion on travel annually. It's a huge wave to potentially ride within this model.
The Gumball Perspective video visualized that well, didn't it? Comparing travel to coffee or nutrition.
Yeah, showing the scale difference. Made the argument that choosing travel network marketing could give a significantly higher chance of success just based on market size and potentially less competition in that specific niche.
And companies like the one mentioned, Planet Marketing, offer what? Low entry.
Typically, yeah. Low startup, reasonable monthly overhead. Compensation usually involves direct sales commissions, matching bonuses on your team's efforts, team bonuses as you grow, and crucially, residual income structures. Often things like a forced matrix designed to help build that long-term residual income, plus potentially significant director bonuses.
So it presents you listening with a specific example of how network marketing can be a low-barrier way into business ownership, especially if aligned with a booming industry like travel.
Absolutely. We've covered a huge amount of ground today, haven't we?
We really have. From realizing your mindset is the absolute bedrock.
To the non-negotiable need for decisive, persistent action, even when it's uncomfortable or you face setbacks.
Then the strategic importance of curating your environment, your inner circle, who you let influence you.
Right. And finally, exploring the financial power shift available through entrepreneurship, especially models like network marketing that offer unique advantages like tax benefits and structured paths to building wealth differently.
It's definitely clear that building something extraordinary isn't just about working hard. It demands deep shifts in thinking, courageous choices about who you listen to, where you spend your time, and how you choose to earn your income.
And you heard that powerful line. You will never, ever be successful until you turn your pain into greatness. So the question for you listening is, what is the pain in your life right now?
Is it a job you secretly despise? Debt that feels like it's suffocating you? Maybe a dream you keep pushing off, telling yourself it's not the right time.
What's one tangible step, just one, that you will take starting today to begin transforming that pain into the fuel for your own success story? Because the alternative, as one speaker warned, is potentially taking your greatness to the graveyard.
Or, as another put it, if you don't build your dream, you'll end up working for somebody else to make their dreams become a reality. The choice, ultimately, and the action that follows, that's entirely up to you.